What's up? What's up? What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Locked On Vikings postcast, Locked On Minnesota Sports postcast, recapping the 24-16 defeat the Vikings suffered in their second preseason game. They are now on an 8-game preseason losing streak, which is kind of funny. Far cry from the heyday of Mike Zimmer preseason win streaks. But hey, we don't really care about wins and losses in the preseason, do we? Instead, we care about who did well, who did poorly. What is the headline for you, Sam?
That there are not any convincing quote unquote winners from this game for the Vikings. It was ugly. Nick Muse, I guess you could give a hat tip to.
I would say Muse.
Who again, and he's the fourth tight end. So his spot is still very much on the bubble. Troy Dye, I guess. Nice game.
Troy Dye had a good game, yeah.
But Lewis Cine, I think you were hoping for a little bounce back. And other than one very notable whiff, I thought he tackled better in this game. We're looking for silver linings, I think, out of this one. The quarterback was, again, very underwhelming. Run game was worse. You didn't see much from the receivers that are going to be on this roster, the Powells and the Ragers. Mullins was, again, uneven early and then kind of settled in. But it wasn't a game that you walked away with giving out a lot of gold stars. I think it was sloppy, 3 of 13 on third down, 6 penalties, poor protection, poor run blocking, particularly a lot of that from the backups, key backups on this team. So if you're looking for positives, I mean, I think on the whole, you actually don't really feel great about this game, and a couple individuals maybe stand out. But I'd love to hear your take, because I thought it was kind of a dud on all counts for the Vikes.
Certainly a sleepy affair. And hey, preseason game 2, we get that. I mean, we're down to guys like Josh Oliver and Josh Metellus not suiting up. We're not even really getting most of the twos here. This was 2s and 3s were starting this game. So, you're going to get a lot more of uneven performances. I think, like with Mullins, it wasn't like the timing wasn't too bad. There are a couple sprint outs I wish just kind of worked faster, just were a little bit tighter, but it was more a question of accuracy being about 90% of what it had to be, and wide receivers not being able to make up that last 10%. Tristan Jackson gets a ball behind him and he can't bring it in. And Blake Prohl gets one from Jaron Hall that's over his head. And he's got to kind of go up and high point it, and he can't quite bring it in. It's like, that could have been a little bit of a better pass. Could have been a little bit more of an adjustment from the wide receiver. We didn't get either, so it's incomplete. I kind of feel like the winners of the game. Here's a question: Did N'Keal Harry suit up? Because he did not get any targets or anything, but I might have just not noticed him.
So I had the exact same thought. I didn't notice him. Jaron Hall only had 7 pass attempts in the entire second half, which is really
more dropbacks.
Egregious. Yeah, he did run the ball, I think, 7 times. But I didn't see N'Keal Harry at all. I thought that the 2 depth receivers that we've kind of been talking about, Thayer Thomas and Tristan Jackson, I thought had nice games. And Thayer Thomas continues to look really shifty to me. And the separation he gets is often good enough to win the rep, and quarterbacks just don't get him the ball on time or on target. I think Thayer Thomas is having a great preseason, and Tristan Jackson comes off injury and has a couple nice plays in the game. Not much more than that, though, from a receiving standpoint in this one.
Right. And I think maybe one of the winners, or maybe one of the most, not a winner, one of the most distinct performances to me comes from Oli Udoh having a disaster class. With multiple holding penalties, multiple sacks consecutive sacks given up in consecutive holding penalties. Both of them back to back. Really, really rough outing. And I think a little bit rougher overall from the second team O-line versus what we saw in that preseason game. I think the only one I will sort of give a pass to is Vidarian Lowe. I thought he had a fairly nice game. But Blake Brandel was up and down. Austin Schlottman was up and down. Alana Lee didn't give us a lot, and he continued to play with the 3s, which kind of tells you that. And I think maybe some of the more interesting stuff just comes into who comes in and who comes out when, For
Andre Carter
example.
playing really late in the game, for instance. I thought that was interesting.
Well, he was playing to the end last time too,
Yeah.
and he had. I would not say that great of a game. There are a lot of
Yeah.
moments where he's kind of overcommitting to stuff and not able to use that athleticism he's supposed to have to sort of make up the difference. There was a Malik Willis scramble down at the end that was a real stinky rep that I didn't like. I'll give one interesting winner. Paul Allen called it out on the broadcast. TJ Smith. TJ Smith had a couple of really great disruptions and blew one up for, I think, a really nice TFL. And there were some really nice plays on the defensive line. And then with Scene himself, I'm actually really happy with Scene's game. I know he went low, he got hurdled once. To me, that's more of a good running back play than a bad safety play. And he was going low all game. So you could tell he got coached like, hey, you tackled way too high all day last time. We're going to make it an emphasis to go for the ankles. And everybody was going for the ankles. I think Jay Ward almost got hurdled another time. Andrew Booth missed one going for the ankles. Everybody was going for the ankles. You could tell they talked about it in practice. So I'm not going to kill Lewis Scene for doing what his coach told him, and the guy made an incredible play. And for the rest of it, there was an awesome sack on Malik Willis. There was a fantastic stop in the flat earlier in the game. I was really happy with Scene's day.
Yeah. Open field stuff, he was really night and day, other than the one big whiff. And that's the one that's going to get replayed the most and people are going to remember. But he had 6-7 tackles in the game. And Luke, I think he played the whole thing. I think
all the safeties did. Yeah.
Pretty much from
only 3
start to
safeties
finish.
Suited. So yeah, they all like any big nickel you saw, Theo Jackson, Jay Ward, and Lewis Scene out there, and that was it.
Yeah. And you know what's been notable to me the last, 4 practices or so, is that they're actually working Scene more in the box. I mean, he was deep safety for OTAs, mini camp, started training camp. It seems like they're trying to put him more in that box role that we've seen from Theo Jackson, Josh Metellus. And I thought that physically speaking, he looked really good tonight. And honestly, he looked good against Seattle. He just didn't finish plays. So if he can if he can continue to put himself in those spots and get hat to ball in the open field as quickly as he does, I mean, there is a lot of raw talent that we're seeing unfold right now. They clearly want him to get the reps. How crazy is it that Josh Metellus is a street clothes guy or a no pads guy on a preseason game, and Lewis Scene is the guy playing the whole time because he just needs the reps. I think he's still your safety 4, but
for sure.
But you definitely see what is likable about Lewis Scene.
Like, I guess I'll put it this way. Look, this is kind of what I've been saying since I saw all these guys at camp. There's 4 good ones. Someone's got to play the preseason game, right?
Yeah.
And with Metellus, I think we sort of balk at it a lot because we got in our heads that there's this 1st round pick and this 6th round pick in camp competing for a job, and the 1st round pick never. But I think it's time to shed that 6th round pick pedigree from Josh Metellus. It's time. He's proven that he is, able to do more than that. And he's just a quality rotational player for the Vikings. And hopefully we can see Scene sort of eventually get above that. But hey, it's a learning curve, and he basically didn't get a rookie season. So what I'm seeing right now from him, I don't know. It doesn't bug me too much. I think there was elsewhere in the 2022 draft class, there was also Andrew Booth, who played most, if not all, of the game. And I think he got taken out in like the 4th quarter for like Kalen Barnes or whatever, or for Tay Gowan, I think. But I think he got targeted once. It was incomplete. There was definitely separation there. I think it was a tight end that dropped it basically, but Booth kind of came in and helped facilitate that in a play, I guess you would call out of phase. I wouldn't call it a great rep, but that was kind of it. So he's averaging 1 target a game.
Not a great sample size.
If you just ignore what those targets are.
Missed a bad tackle in this one, and he did the same thing he did in the Seattle game. He hit a sliding quarterback like late enough where you might get a penalty.
That was savvy. He got away with it, and he played it like he kept his head up. He kind of slid down as well, and they collided on the ground. You never get called for that.
Yeah. He's towing the line. He's done it a couple weeks in a row now. So yeah, again, not overwhelmed by Booth, and certainly not his worst game ever. He didn't do that much. And again, Malik Willis just wasn't Wasn't a great quarterback tonight. Didn't put the ball in the air. Didn't challenge them a lot. Only threw it 17 times, completed 10. Yeah, I mean, this was a test against a good run game, and the Vikings failed miserably. 281 yards allowed on the ground. Not as much testing for the cornerbacks and secondary.
Woof. That is, boy, when you add all that up, it sounds pretty rough.
Yeah.
I want to keep going here. There is one player that we haven't talked about yet that I certainly want to shout out.
I know who that's going to be.
But before we do that, hey, it is best ball season. It's fantasy draft season. And as a nice little warm up for maybe your office league or whatever your main fantasy league is, why don't you try a best ball with Underdog Fantasy? A best ball is a format that is essentially one live snake draft, and then you just let it ride. No waivers, no trades. All your lineups are picked for you, and you just let that ride for the rest of the season and see how it goes. So it's not like joining another league and all the time commitment of that. But hey, you can still get in on the Underdog's Best Ball Mania tournament, which is the largest fantasy football contest of all time. And it's got a $15 million prize pool, including $3 million for the winner. Last year, the winner drafted their team all the way back in July. So get on it. But visit underdogfantasy.com or find them in the App Store and sign up with promo code Locked On. You can get your first deposit doubled up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code Locked On. So, Sam, this is now the second preseason game, and it is the second time that there were two things I want to point out about Najee Thompson. One, everybody noticed. Fantastic play as a gunner. He gets singled up as a gunner, which other teams were doubling him, and he probably should double him. Makes a fantastic play, breaks down, makes a great tackle, no return at all. Unbelievable play as a gunner. Second week in a row, we get one of these. 2, 3 special teams plays, and he was pulled. That is a first teamer, my friend. That is a man making the roster.
I'm going to burst your bubble right now. You really don't know. He got hurt.
Oh, he got hurt?
He got hurt.
I didn't know. No.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, man. I feel like
how bad? Hold up. How bad?
Got hit by a bus.
He got pulled the same way last week too, though. So probably similar.
Yeah, they're going to be overly cautious in the preseason, but he went to the sideline. I think he had some tent time and did not return to the game.
Oh no!
I'm sorry to tell you, man. I'm so
sorry.
You
gotta be careful with your
condolences.
starters. So
yeah, you got to be cautious with your your
first
ace.
teamers,
dude. He's Dan Chisena, but he can tackle.
Exactly.
It's great. It's a kind of amazing. It's very impressive. And if he makes the team, it is the single greatest tout of a bottom of the roster guy out of nowhere making the team by you, which
absolutely
I think you
greatest
made
call I'll ever have
in June. It is the greatest prognostication of your career, Luke Braun.
And if he's hurt and can't make the team because he goes on IR or whatever, I will count that. That I'm going to take a victory lap on that.
And maybe that's actually the best outcome for him. That it's not too bad of an injury, but it keeps him around.
Exactly. We'll see how severe that is. But I thought the special teams world was very interesting because then you saw Kalon Barnes fire out on a really good punt gun, but he missed the tackle. And you saw Tay Gowan kind of get down and be involved on a punt jamming situation as a blocker. And I believe he drew a penalty. Maybe that was Jalen Williams. But that's sort of where, the men get separated from the boys. How about Aaron Dykes as a kick returner looking shifty and
looked good
and pretty fast slasher? Dwayne McBride, we should probably talk about, had a better game. He caught a pass. He's not supposed to be able to do that. Scored a touchdown. Yep. We have that too. I thought McBride had a pretty good game, and I still think Abram Smith is misreading plays.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about Abram Smith. Let's talk about McBride versus Chandler. I think we were crowning Chandler. I don't think McBride did enough to change that, but Chandler had nowhere to go tonight. And I'm excited to watch it back from behind the play because it didn't seem like he had a chance. It kind of looked like last year a lot, where Dalvin Cook was getting swallowed up all the time.
I don't think I saw any plays from Chandler that bugged me from a running back perspective. I think there was a lot of rough plays from Oli, Udo, or Schlotman up there, or Ali up there, that kind of right side. I think Lowe and Brandell did a little better, but that O-line he was going behind, I think, struggled a little bit.
Hey, fair to say, Luke, that you mentioned Lowe and the offensive line. Fair to say that right now it's kind of a battle between Udo and Lowe to be the swing tackle. Like, I think we've assumed that's Udo because Udo was the guy to fill in for Brian O'Neill.
Right. And then it's a battle for that call it OT4 position or OT3 or whatever, that OT3 position. And then will you keep the other guy? Because Brandell now is the swing tackle guard. That kind of used to be how we envisioned Udo as well. He's a tackle, but he can play guard in a pinch. And I think with Brandell, it's now, well, we've moved Brandell to guard, but he can go back to tackle if we need him. And so I think that puts him on the roster. And I think he's just playing well enough to make it anyways. And then, yeah, I think I don't know if we keep all three of those guys again, which is what we did last year. And if I were to make a call right now, I would say that Lowe is blowing Udo out in that battle.
I would agree. And he's got 2 additional years on his contract beyond this year. And Udo doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about Udo is I don't think he saves you any cap if you cut him, but I think that's a minor consideration because right now we're trying to build the best 53, not the most cap efficient 53, right? But I would also shout out, there's one other guy I want to shout out here, which is Benton Whitley, sort of an unheralded guy, starting deep on the 3s, maybe the 4s or whatever, but he played a lot in this game, and I thought he looked very sound, very assignment sound, in a way that you can't always say that about guys that deep in the preseason. Undrafted guy, looking for a practice squad slot, if anything. But hey, I want to
finish your sacks though, Benton.
Yeah,
finish your sack. He had one amazing rush, unbelievable rush, and then couldn't finish the deal, and then had another one fall in his lap, and couldn't finish the deal. If he makes those plays, then we're talking about T.Y. McGill territory.
Oh, and Troy Dye, of course. Great game for him. Got an interception. I thought was a really good play. As much a gift from Malik Willis as it was a good play by Dye, but we take those, right? And some good run fits as well. Knifed in for one. He and Ivan Pace looked like not third team preseason linebackers, and those are, if those are the 2 linebackers, we've probably experienced some injuries, and it makes me feel not as scared of that situation as I was before.
Yeah, Troy Reeder playing late in the game. I don't think he's
bad
making
game for Reeder.
Yeah, I don't feel great about
that. Touchdown on him.
Ivan Pace was quiet, but again, KOC said it this week. He's like competing to borderline start. So I don't know if they need to see him for like all of preseason game number 3 at this rate.
I think he's proven what he needs to prove. And the way that they have played him in camp situations, I think shows that. How he's the guy taking first team reps with Asamoah out, and the way that he's rotated in when all the linebackers are healthy as well. And I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a rotational role. He'll be the Josh Metellus of the linebackers this year, if you will. And I don't think anybody's taken that from him. Hey, so Sam and I do the Minnesota Football Party every Monday and Thursday. So you can catch us on that at Locked On Minnesota Sports. If you're listening to this, that means you're on the Locked On Vikings feed. I'll be back for Locked On Vikings Monday morning, of course, as usual, recapping things, probably talking a little bit about what I saw on tape, if I can get it before then. For Sam, what else do you got on the Locked On Minnesota Sports?
Yeah, we'll have Ron Johnson reacting to the game Monday. Of course, the Minnesota Football Party as well, full coverage of that. And then right into joint practices with Arizona. I'll be out there watching practice, and I'll have press conferences that I'll be posting up there and tweeting, of course, at Sam Ekstrom. So plenty to come next week, another big week.
Sounds good. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll do these postcasts after every game, of course. So we'll see you next Saturday afternoon. Talk about what happened against the Cardinals. See y'all next time.